Morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you today live. I hope that this is one of many that I do with you on board. I think these are trying times, times when we're looking to rearrange and refocus and rechannel how we do things, how we show up in the world, how we show up at work, and what kind of impression we want to give to our boss, what kind of statement we want to make. It's been a good break to be able to revisit all that. So I'm here to help you maybe navigate one issue that's always caused a little bit of stress and anxiety whenever we've either been asked or felt compelled to give some feedback to our boss. So there's a different nuance, right, between the two. Thank you for joining. There's a different nuance between the two. If you're asked for feedback and if you voluntarily want to offer feedback, because one is driven by you having a problem and the other one is driven by maybe your boss having a problem. So there's a little bit of an adjustment to be made between the two. It's important to note the difference. But today we're going to focus on how you can give feedback to your boss without feeling fearful about losing your job, about losing favor with your boss, or being looked upon or talked about in a way where how dare they. So one of the things that you probably want to think about when doing this is give it good thought. Sit down and really think about, list the things that you think are important to point out and address that concern, your place at work, your ability to succeed in what you're doing, and just in general, what is it that you want to impart to your boss that you feel by telling them would make a difference? So let's start from there. That's an important question to ask yourself. It's not just, you don't just want to be seen as someone who complains or criticizes. You want to be seen as someone that adds value. By adding value, it doesn't necessarily mean just to the bottom line, which of course that is appreciated. But you have to think about how you can make the work environment better, right? So, maybe write your boss an email. Don't just ambush your boss in public by saying, hey, I want to talk to you. I have an issue with what you said or what orders you've barked out or whatever it is that triggered you. The last thing you want to do is ambush your boss in public. That's just a no-no. If I can say that. No one wants to feel ambushed, right? You don't want to be called out in public if you're doing or perceived to be doing something wrong. So courteously send them an email and say, I would like to address some points of concern that I have and would like to know if it's possible to meet with you at your convenience, and if you can give me 15-20 minutes of your time. And of course, your boss, at the very least will be intrigued to know what it is that you have to say, especially if it's something that you don't normally do. I think they will want to be, just out of general curiosity, would want to hear you out. So you get the meeting. They finally confirm the day and the time. So what do? So you don't go in guns blaring. No. You need to be prepared because this is your moment to make a statement, right? And you want to make sure that it's a positive statement, a statement that sits with your boss. They actually think about what you're going to say and perhaps apply, some thinking and some changes to the information that you're going to impart, right? So again, sit down and make sure that your list of the points you want to address is very clear and very concise. You go in, you already know what you want to talk about. Okay? It's not a haphazard get to know your boss and, oh yeah, I have this on my mind. No, you want to make sure that they understand you've actually put some thought into doing this. And it means enough to you that you've actually prepared an agenda. Agendas are a cool thing to show up with, okay? It makes you look like you're serious, that you're committed, that you actually care about how business is conducted, how the people behave, how work flows, how results are succeeded with different measures that could be changed. It just shows that you are committed. You're committed to the changes that need to take place, that you feel need to take place in the marketplace, in the business, sorry. Your job is to convince your boss that these changes you see are actually valid, okay? That's an important thing. It's not just something to consider and something that, they'll put on the back shelf and maybe get to it some other time. Make it impactful. So make sure that your list is a list of hits, of wins, of things that are measurable and specific, that they can actually look at and know that they're actually, if applied, are attainable, doable, and will create positive results. So it's really important to give it some thought. And thought put on paper usually equals something that materializes into something that's actually going to be put into action, which is what you're looking for, is something to be put into action in the business. And if you see that, I think magically and almost overnight, you yourself are going to feel validated, you're going to feel a sense of empowerment, and you're going to be even more committed, if that's possible, than you were before to the business, to what you do, to your presence there. And we'll feel confident that you'll, go ahead and, perhaps try this again at a later date if there's some other contribution that you can make. So only positive can come out of this. Of course, in all of this that I'm suggesting to do, what's important to remember is honesty, but constructive honesty. You're not looking to go there and complain and deconstruct what's already in place, because you do want to honor and validate what you've joined, that it matters, that it meant something, that it means something, what your boss has built in terms of a work environment for you to be in. But of course, we're all human. We can't think of everything. And as you know, because we're all human, there's always room for improvement. And your boss knows that. Your boss definitely knows that. And the best leaders are the ones that keep their teams closest to them. And the only way to do that is to actually listen to what they have to tell you about what changes need to be implemented to make the business run better, to give a better service, to give a better product, to amplify profits, to increase year-end results. It all ties into listening and communicating to one another. So the more specific, the more targeted, the more measurable and real what you have to bring to the table is, the more it's going to be considered and applied. I keep repeating that because it's really important that you keep remembering when you do want to give feedback. And by giving feedback with a solution, the fear element kind of dissipates, because you're not just going there saying something about what's not going right. You're also providing solutions about how to better something that you are bringing to your leaders' or boss's attention. So again, now it becomes an interactive conversation between employer and employee. It's no longer just about, a disgruntled employee seemingly coming in to complain about something. You're actually coming in as a contributor, someone that offers an opinion that has value, that has purpose, and that has merit to be listened to. So really important to do some research, right? Really important to do some research while you're building this feedback that you feel compelled to give, because you're looking around and no one else seems to want to do it, feel strong enough to do it, or empowered enough to do it. I say that if you are someone that is solution oriented and a problem solver, anything that you may say that isn't working, because you are bringing forward a solution as to how to make it work or maybe work better, you are already empowered with what it is that you have to bring as a message. And so right off the bat, your fear factor exponentially decreases when you do that. And it also shows up in how you present the information to your department head, your leader, the owner of the business, whoever it is that your go-to person is that could apply these changes that you're looking to suggest, right? So I believe in that. I believe that knowledge is power. Information and research is vital. When you need to speak about a subject, it's important to show up as someone that has taken the time to understand and to really, really deepen, and it's not just on a cursory level that you understand the business. You've actually really gotten into the bones of it and want to vibrate at that level in terms of discussion with your employer that you are looking to bring all this new knowledge to, right? They're busy, expanding the vision of their business, hoping that the vision that they do have is working, that it's staying relevant, that it's still generating profits. The minutia or the trajectory of the agenda to make that vision statement continue sometimes is incumbent upon the team members that make up the relevance of that business to kind of check and balance with the owner to see if things are if things need to get changed, if things need to get modified, if things need to get modernized or reconnected, refocused, rechanneled. Like I said at the beginning of this, great time to do that with everyone transitioning back to work. This is a perfect time to address not just what the experience has been, for you away from work, but what the experience feels like about you going back to work. And a forum, should be established. Maybe that's one of the things that you could request, to your leader or employer, is that you would like to have the opportunity to have a symposium with, your colleagues, along with, the owner of the business, just to kind of gel again and blend again and collectively understand how everybody is mentally, spiritually and emotionally ready to come back to work. So that kind of sets the tone. It's the great equalizer amongst everyone, to be able to understand and open up a conversation, a much more personal conversation that probably never really took place before. And that will also inspire you to want to get a little bit more personal with your boss about wanting to discuss things that, were in the back of your mind for quite some time, but you never dared say anything. Bet you anything now would be a good time for them to hear that, because I think they'll probably be at their most receptive. Because, they too have something to say about what they've been through. We've all been shell-shocked here. And, they're not impermeable to what has happened. They're grateful that you're coming back. And in that gratitude, they probably really, really want to hear what you have to say now. So that would be, good to keep in mind as well in terms of, having to, have this constructive discussion with them at this point. And what's important as well when you are, giving this feedback is to remember, try to establish a dialogue with your boss, and try to remember that with everything that you say, they too have something to say to you about it. They have their story as well to share. There's a history that you're probably not aware of. Hi to everybody that's joined in. Love the fact that you're here. I hope this helps, by the way. They have more of a history with regards to the whys that things are being done the way that they're done. So maybe they can give you further insight to maybe sharpen, the suggestions that you're making. And probably because it does become more of a collaborative and interactive conversation between employer and employee, that it becomes a community thing whereby these things are done in unison with one goal in mind, and that is to make the business better. So from that perspective, you're both on the same level, which is fantastic in terms of conversation. Hi guys. So, excuse me, I seem to have a frog in my throat today. What else can I tell you? It's important that if you're within your honesty, to stick to the agenda that you have at hand, especially if you don't have a great level of comfort yet with your boss. Don't permit yourself just to comment on everything. It's important that you come across as professional, that you come off as someone who's thoughtful, that you come off as someone who has a determined and decisive list of things that they want to address because they believe that these suggestions would actually better so many different areas of the business. So in other words, if you have this opportunity, to speak and vent, if you will, to your boss, don't start talking about how this one upset you and that one stole your lunch and oh my God, and the furniture is awful. I mean, those are things that can come at some other time. It's baby steps, because as you're giving feedback, remember, it's also about building trust. And about opening the airwaves of communication with your boss. So it doesn't happen instantly. It's like any other relationship. You meet, you get to know, you get to establish a comfort level, and slowly but surely you start to open up the areas of dialogue that you can have with that person, because there's a growing trust between two people. And when there's a growing trust, that person listens to you more and more. They seek you out more and more. They believe you more and more. And they know that you're coming from a place where you're just looking to impart, for added value, for no other reason. It's completely objective. There's no subjectivity in what it is that you are imparting to your boss. Because some people, depending on how they do this, let's face it, some people are real, they're in it for them. They want to see, hi Tom, they want to see how they make out. They want to look good. They want to be the first in line to complain about something because nobody else is. They are, I'm just putting some comments here, don't get it. Some employees are self-serving. Some employees, want to take that time to kind of like make a beehive to the, to the C-suite, to get, to have a more personal relationship with the boss so that they kind of stand out a little bit. Or it's all self-motivated, only for their own purpose, versus someone who actually prepares themselves, okay, and asks for a meeting, or asks for a moment aside in private, okay, because they have something to say. And And if there's some thought behind it, if there's some research behind it, if it actually applies, if you can actually bring an example, even better, if you can bring an example to them as to what you saw, what you heard, that's wrong, that's not working, that could be better, that could be made better, that shouldn't be. If you bring an example to counter that event that you either heard or saw, that's magic. That's pure magic, because then it's not a subjective opinion. You're basing it on something, on a fact, and you're backing it up with other facts, a counterpoint, which makes it valid for you to have this discussion with them. And so there's no gain for you. It's just a matter of something that you have taken the time to research and that you're bringing added knowledge to be able to correct. And in the end, to make everything better, not just for you, but for everybody. And that's what a boss responds to. A boss responds to employees that have the greater good in mind. The greater good in mind. Because at the end of the day, it's about the team. It's about the team. It's not about you singularly. And if you happen to stand out because you've taken the initiative and to speak on behalf of the greater good, well, then that makes you a leader. And that makes you somebody that people will go to next time when there is an issue. You'll kind of sort of be like the designated messenger, if you will, because you have found a way to approach, your employer with something that's constructive feedback, that needs to be heard, that needs to be considered, and hopefully that, necessary changes could come about because of it. So that's a win-win for everybody, wouldn't you say? I think so. I know that whenever I've been in a position, and I am in a position as a decision maker, I had the employees who were very timid and tentative and always said what they thought I should hear. And I could see it. I could see right through them that that's what they were doing. And don't kid yourself. I am no better or worse than any other business owner that's assessing while you're speaking what you're actually telling me and how you're telling me. And if you're not speaking to me, if you're not telling me what's on your mind, I can see that too. And so can they. It's not like I have an added, way to be able to, discern that. A lot of leaders know their team and they know who is involved and who's not involved. Trust me. They absolutely know who to go to, right? So if you want to be part of that, then it's up to you to say, hey, I got something to say. I definitely have something to say and I want to share it with you. I've taken the time to think about this. I've done some research. Please allow me about 20 minutes just to sit down with you and talk about this. I would love to share what I think could be improved. They would love that, because all I ever wanted to hear from my employees was, what do you think? Is this right? How would you do it if you were me? And it's not a matter of, I never felt vulnerable or that I was not, an effective leader by asking that question. It made me actually approachable and human. And what it did was that it made them feel comfortable to have a discussion with me. So the people that were fearful to approach me, I took the initiative and I kept on going back over and over and over until they understood it was okay to voice their opinion. And then there's those that they're fine. I'm working here. I'm producing for you. I got something to say. You have to listen to me. And you know what? I was fine with both, because that's what a good leader, an effective leader does. They change their approach depending on who is coming at them. Okay? So that's another tip for you. So another tip is try to determine what kind of leadership style your employer has. Okay? Some leaders are cut off, they're behind closed doors, they do everything by phone. If they need to speak to somebody, they usually send an assistant or they send an email. That's a very impersonal way to communicate, right? So that would require a very well thought out, fact-based agenda for you to prepare. So, because that's what they understand, okay? Their emotional quotient is maybe not as developed as another leader who loves to communicate, who has an open door policy, who walks around the office all day long saying hello and making sure that everybody's doing well. And if there's anything, please let me know. And who interacts either through emails on a weekly or monthly basis, letting everybody know what's going on, what's new, what's old, things that they're dealing with, problems, solutions. Much more of an open communication, collaborative policy going on. So that type of leader, that's a leader whereby you still need to prepare, but in terms of you having to be fearful about addressing issues, that kind of dictates just how much or how little fear you should actually have. In my opinion, you should have no fear at all, because we're all here to learn from one another. And because someone owns a business and is the stakeholder of that business, doesn't mean that they know everything. They just had a vision. They had the wherewithal to be able to establish that vision. But without you, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't earn anything. It doesn't create market share. It just is. So you are the driver of how well that business does, how that business gets positioned in the marketplace, how it gets recognized for its productivity, its profits, its customer service, its callbacks, everything. Everything is determined by the team that's behind it. And the leader gathers you, but you fuel that vision and you keep on fueling that engine. So you better believe it, your feedback is vital, super important. Remember that. Remember that you are as important a part of the equation as the leader is that's giving you this opportunity to create what it is that you're creating in the workplace. So if you change your mindset into thinking that I am of value, I matter, what I do is in leadership in terms of what I produce for the business, I produce within my leadership skills, meaning you are the go-to person in that particular task that you are doing. Whether it's answering the phone, whether it's, ordering parts, whatever your function is within a business, if it's given to you, you are the custodian and the leader of that task. So it's incumbent upon all the leaders that make up a business to have a say in how things could be made better. So right off the bat, if you start to change and think that you are a vital component of the business, you won't have time to be afraid, because you think, you know what, I'm needed here. I'm needed here, and if I'm still here, it's because I'm wanted here. Hi guys. Hi everybody. I'm waving back. So, if that works, to me, that it's all about positivity. It's all about working at this together. It's all about finding solutions together. And it's about keeping the lines of communication open. That's what's important. So it's not just about giving feedback once. It's about going back again and again and again. And sometimes the feedback could be, you know what? Great job. This is fantastic. I love to work here. I love the fluidity of the teams. I love how we all, congregate and communicate together. I love how it could be positive feedback. Even negative feedback is positive feedback, because negative feedback means that things need to change, and change is always positive. Because anytime that there's change, there's a chance to do something in a different way. So change equals chance. And I like to take all the chances possible to be able to improve, to modify, to do better, to be better, to present myself in a different way, to expand my horizons, to reach more people. That's what we're all here to do. Every business wants to do that. Every business that has a service or a product to sell has that common denominator. How do I broaden my reach? How do I broaden my reach? How do I expand my market share? And how do I create permanency in the marketplace? How do I go from being considered a newcomer to a player to an established business? How do I do that? Those are all different steps. And along the way, along the way, what happens is that your employees are part of it. They are part of that solution every step of the way. So I don't know if this has been enough. I've been talking now nonstop for about 30 minutes. If you should ever want to have a one-on-one where we can have a very constructive discussion about all these points, if you are really, really struggling with how to deal with your fear factor, with regards to feedback, with regards to whatever it is that is aligning you with fear and anxiety when it comes to the workplace, connect with me. Link to my bio, and schedule a free session. Let's get you going. Let's get you, your mindset changed with regards to certain things that are vital for you to be more productive and effective at work. And bottom line, it's really about enjoyment. Enjoy your time at work. You should. It's not just about doing the work. You also have to love what you do, be passionate about what you do, thus increasing your purpose and aligning your purpose with your passion. So it feels less like a job, but more like an offering, something that you want to be part of, that you can't wait to be part of every single day that you get up. And now that we are in transition back to work, I know I'm stimulated to get back into the office because I need my human connection. I want to say hi to everybody. I want to feed off everybody's vibe and energy and make sure that, communication is flowing, energy is at an all-time high, keep everybody positive, make sure that we are all at one with reintegrating ourselves at work and coming back, with greater force, a better hope of wanting to collaborate together and be less focused on, individual achievement for now. Because now we really need to band together to power through and push through, this difficult time. So don't be afraid. Do something about it. Don't feel challenged. Do something about it. You can do something about it. Your voice matters. Don't think that you're less than anyone else, because you're not. If you're part of a business, you are just as important as any other person that's involved there, whether it's at the C-suite or wherever. Everybody matters because everybody makes that business go forward and flourish. So if I've imparted anything today, is that everyone matters. Everyone's got value, and it doesn't matter what your paycheck is. It doesn't matter what your title is. You are all important because you're part of the team. And any leader, any effective leader feels that way. And they want to hear, believe me when I tell you, they want to hear what you have to say. Let's get rid of that wall. Because they're the owner, because they're your employer, there's this automatic, formality that sets in. Let's get rid of that formality, because, there's times to be formal. Just because you want to go to them and tell them what you think doesn't mean you're not respecting who they are. It's because you respect who they are and what they've created that you want to contribute. And that's what you need to tell them. You need to let them know that this is not a personal attack. This is something that you want to include and you want to, share because you believe in the business. You are committed to it and you want to see it flourish from years and years to come. So guys, with that, I leave you today. I'll see you again. Probably do another one of these next week. So stay tuned. And I hope I imparted some knowledge. Again, sign up, and let's get talking. Let's make changes and let's do better. I know I want to. Have a great day.